cut a significant cost from the marching band, those shoes. Moving on, we have cross country. Their budget came in at $4,500, and again, this is another one that went slightly over. Um, the If you look here, they were up for uniforms as well, and the bulk of their cost was uniforms. Um, the stopwatch was approved. One stopwatch was approved, and a carry bag was approved. If they did not have that $38 in their um, fundraising account, this carry bag would be cut. So that's how they would get under. Um, the boys golf team, their budget was $1,700, and if you look, they had striped polos, which I will believe is part of their uniform. Um, Also, the golf balls, which is their big highest priority item, and then the golf rental for the coach is another one. So they came under, so they were approved. Um, and you could see the necessity in what they requested as well. Cheerleading was mainly uniforms, and what I noticed about cheerleading is it's very expensive. So they were only approved of the uniforms. There was nothing else. I consider the palms um, part of their uniform. There was nothing else that I could um, um, approve because of the expensive uniforms. Um, and let's look at their. They were approved for $7,200, and they came on $7,200, and they still went over that by $53. So that was quite expensive. And then boys tennis, we have their budget was $1,000. They're under that. They had requested hold down straps, tennis balls is the highest priority item, scorebook, pickup basket, um, an outdoor dock utility cart, and then support visors that I approved because I know springtime when that sun comes out, um, you need some protection. So they were approved of those items. The boys basketball team, they their budget was I think $3,000, same as the girls' budget. Yep, and so they were $36 over. Um, so the huddle video is obviously a thing that um, all programs won't. Um, and I know it helps scouting other teams and player development by being able to go back and show players where they went wrong. So that's why that's approved. The gun again, this was split between both programs, but this program took the most of the cost at $1,200. Girls only paid $300 for it, but they got to split it. The wide body ball cart was approved. Game basketballs obviously is the big highest priority here, and so there's the boys budget. So that's what was all approved in the budget, and if you look at the total budget here, the budget that we had to come under was $65,000 this year, and we ended up getting under that with little over $64,000. So we had $937 left. So these programs that went over by $22 or $16, that was this $89 one. That's all covered. So that's all covered through the general fund. But again, I would look into their fundraising fund first, and then if it what if they did not have anything in a fundraising fund, then I would have to go back and cut $22 out of the wrestling budget, cut $16 out of the girls tennis, if it was not available. Let's look at the items that were cut this year. So softball team, they requested a big ticketed item, softball pitching machine. That item it will put them over the budget. So you will need to use the fundraiser account for such an item. Um, and so this was declined. Girls basketballs, they were not up for uniforms this year, so those were declined. The boys helped with this gun. The girls requested the same thing, so they will split it. So I declined the girls, but the girls will have uh, the gun. The boys and girls will split it. So again, the warm up tops to me is a part of the uniforms, and therefore they were not approved. The boys track, the intermediate pole vault package, I felt like this was a startup item. So this was not approved because this assignment was based on programs already being in place. And then, like I said earlier, I took away 2 of the starting blocks. They requested 8. I took away 2 of them because they would have been over the budget. And they already have starting blocks. The boys and girls track, they requested some uniforms. They're not up for them, so those were declined. Wrestling, mats. I felt like this was another item that was to start up a program. You may need to replace mats at some point, but I felt like it was more of a startup thing, so I declined it. Did not have room for their treadmill or the wall paddling, and they still were over by, if I can remember, they were over by $22. So I declined these items because they were the most expensive ones. Football requested again uniforms. They're not up for uniforms. They also requested camp shirts. And I explained the camp shirts can come out of the fundraising account, or players can pay for their camp shirts. So at my school, the players pay a camp fee that includes the camp shirts. So I would hope to see if we cannot do that in this budget, that could be an option to get those camp shirts. Uh, the coaching shirts can come out the fundraising account as well. It was not room for the coaching shirts, but again, I feel like this would be something that can come out the fundraising account. Boys volleyball had a high ticketed training machine. These actually all of their items were training tools that are not absolute necessities. So I did not approve them this year because it would have also put them over the budget. Girls tennis had another training item, and it was way too expensive, and it's not a necessity. So it was declined. Baseball, the only item that they did not get approved of was their uniforms. Of course, they're not up for uniforms this year, so that's why that's not approved. Girls volleyball, again, jerseys. Um, they yeah, girls volleyball was not approved of their uniforms this year, not up. And then travel bags, players can buy their own. Uh, Players can buy their own um, travel bag, or can bring a backpack to travel with, because this was a very costly item. Um, First aid kit, I would assume um, the trainer will have a first aid kit, and then not your year for uniforms. Again, the shorts is a part of the uniform, and then the 1/4 zips. Uh, they were not approved this year either, because that